Hello, everybody, and welcome to Optistar's November webinar on key Teams features. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Glenn Wilson, and my official title at Optistar is Cloud Systems Specialist. But unofficially, I'm often referred to around here as Optistar's Teams Champion. This is not because I am an expert on using it, although I do know a lot about it. I would never claim to be an expert, but more so because I believe in its potential to be able to help the people who use it each day to get their work done a little better than they could have on their own. Teams work makes the dream work, if you will. Let's talk briefly about this potential, and I'll give you a brief outline of what I plan to cover today. In my subtitle for today's presentation, I refer to Teams as the super communicastic expediently loquacious meeting tool. Now, unlike Mary Poppins, I do not believe that Teams is practically perfect in every way, but I do believe that if you are able to take advantage of some of the tools built into this application, you can have better, more productive outcomes to your meetings and presentations. And that's the goal today. How can Teams help you reach your potential? Now, I'm going to take a real quick look at Teams calling and the bells and whistles built into Teams chat before taking longer looks at some of the cool new meetings tools you may not know you have access to in Teams, including presentations, webinars, and breakout rooms. And then for my finale, for those of you who, like me, have access to multiple Teams accounts with different organizations, but you can't quite figure out how to access them all at the same time, well, I'm going to show you a trick using your web browser to give yourself access to multiple Teams tenants on one computer without having to sign out of the app over and over again. But for now, let's get started with Teams calling. Now, Teams calling is the ability for Teams to integrate your existing landline phone system into Teams so that your landline phone numbers ring in Teams, and so that you can make direct calls to anyone in the world with a phone number right from your Teams client app. This is both a convenient time saver in that you have one-stop shopping for your communications needs, but it can also mean potentially big savings for your company because not only can this system be cheaper than most current business phone plans, you can also save money because you no longer need physical phones. Your computer or your cell phone become your desk phone. So save desk space and save money. That's a win-win. Now, if you're not currently using Teams calling, reach out to us here at Optistar. We can help you get started right away. If you're already using Teams calling, but you feel like you need a refresher on how to use it maybe a little better, well, reach out to Optistar. Maybe we can set up a training session, show you the details on just how it works. Now, using the chat function in Teams is akin to using text messaging on your phone. The conversation is contained within the chat itself, not visible to anyone else. You can even create multi-user chats like you would, say, a group text chain with your family on your phone. Plus, all those chats are stored. They're kept in Teams so that you can review them at any time when you need to recall what it was that you may have discussed with your teammate. Let's talk about a few other useful tools in the chat function, starting with the pop-out chats. Clicking those three dots next to the name of the person you're chatting with will give you options for within the chat, including the ability to mark messages as read or unread, pinning the chat to the top of your bar, muting the conversation to stop notifications, and the ability to notify you as soon as that other person becomes available. But I want to draw your attention to the top option, which is pop-out chat. Now, doing this will open the chat in its own fully contained window. You can do this as many times as you want to allow for easier tracking of multiple chats all at one time. Or direct dial. If you haven't noticed it before, you can call a teammate right from the chat window whenever you need to stop typing and start speaking. Just click the camera or the handset icon to initiate a direct Teams to Teams call with the other person. Now, the camera will obviously start a video chat, and the handset will be audio only, but you can switch to video during that call if you need to. But as far as I'm concerned, the least known and the most useful tool is the live file collaboration. This is easiest to do from within a Teams channel because the default permissions on file shares are already set for collaboration. It can be done from directly within chat as well, but it usually requires that you edit the chat sharing permissions in Microsoft OneDrive first. So for time convenience today, I'm going to show you how to accomplish this in a Teams channel for now, since the actual working process is identical. But just know that it can be done from directly within chat as well. Just needs a little TLC to do so. Now I'm going to switch to the Teams section over here on the left side of the application, and then I'm going to choose the team and channel that I wish to share my file and collaborate on with the other person. Now you can see here that I have 3 files I have already shared with my colleague Stanley. Now I'm going to open one of these documents directly here in the Teams app simply by clicking on it. And then Stanley, who is on a different computer, who I also have access to here, is going to open the exact same document. There we go. Now, at the top of the screen up here, I can see that Stanley is in this document and he is currently editing A1. That tells me the exact cell that Stanley is in. I can also see his cursor as he moves it around to different locations. I can see SC everywhere that he goes, and I know exactly where it is that he's currently working. On his side, Stanley sees the exact same thing. He can see this, the changes that I'm making, which cell that I am working in, and I also show up at the top and show him as being in editing mode. Now, if we wish to discuss about what it is we're working on, we can click on this conversation button, and that opens up a convenient little chat tool between the two of us where we can share messages with each other and ask what it is exactly we want to accomplish or what it is we want to get done. As we are finished, when we are completed working with the document saves as we go. So every change that you make is saved as you make it. And when we are finished, we can download this collaborated on, edited file, and then we can place it wherever it is that we need to in order to preserve this final work, if it needs to actually go somewhere. This can also be a living document that we use together frequently, and we just go into and keep making changes so that the other one can stay up to date on what it is that my colleague is working on. So with that, let's move on to meetings. Okay, since communications is the primary reason for Teams' existence, it only makes sense that meetings are the primary usage for Teams. Over the last year, Microsoft has made some changes to the meeting experience. Some of these were cosmetic, some were extremely useful to those of us who host a lot of meetings in Teams. So let's take a look at a couple of those key presentation tools added in the past year. So when giving a presentation in a Teams meeting, there's a lot of tools available to you to help make your presentation shine. Now, I want to discuss the new presenter mode option and the new PowerPoint Live option as well. So we're going to start with presenter mode. To begin with, you will need to click the share screen icon at the top of the meeting window. I have a green arrow pointing to that in my screen cap here. You can see presenter mode is listed near the top window, where my big orange arrow is pointing in the screen capture. Presenter mode essentially allows you to share the screen with your content if you wish. I use this most of the time with my webinars and occasionally when I present content on my desktop. So let's take a quick look at how presenter mode works in this demo. Okay, so here I am inside my meeting. Now, at the top of my meeting window, I will click the Share Content icon, and I'll be presented with these options. Now, let's focus on presenter mode area here, where I have 4 options available to me. I can choose the default option, which is content only. That means only the content will be visible to my attendees. The next option is the standout mode. Now, in this mode, I will appear on screen near the bottom right side of my presentation. You choose this option, then you choose the screen that you wish to share, and like so, this is what your attendees will see. The screen share and whatever's running on behind it, spreadsheet, PowerPoint slides, doesn't matter. And you appear at the bottom as a jovial little person who can point, reference, or at least draw attention and make it look as if you're speaking with the people on screen. Let's take a look at the other options. We'll do a quick reset. And let's choose side by side. So in the side by side mode, this one allows you to choose a background image that you can set up behind the images, behind your presentation. There'll be your presentation in one window and you side by side in a separate window. That will look like this. Now I'm using the default image back there, but again, that background image can be changed to anything. I'm going to show you how to do that when we reset for the last option. And here we are again. So this time we're going to choose reporter mode. I'm going to choose add background. You can see there's a variety of built-in backgrounds that Microsoft provides for you. Hopefully one works. Choose it. Come back here. I've picked reporter mode, and now I've chosen the screen that I want to share. And now we're in reporter mode. So named because you look like you're on the evening news presenting a story with a graphic running beside you. Sometimes I also refer to this as big head mode because you appear as a giant head floating right next to your presentation. Now let's take a look at the PowerPoint Live tool. So next up is PowerPoint Live. Most presentations in Teams I've found are done using PowerPoint slides, some sort of slide software. You run your slide deck on your computer, you share your screen, and then you try to keep up with the presentation while reading from your notes and managing the meeting. The PowerPoint Live feature incorporates the slides directly into Teams and gives you as the presenter one screen to rule them all, if you will. Now, under that PowerPoint Live banner, you will have the option to open a PowerPoint file either from your OneDrive storage or from your local computer. After the file has been loaded into Teams, you will see the presentation. Now here's an example of a PowerPoint file that has been loaded into the Teams Presenters application. In fact, this is today's webinar as I loaded it into my Teams application. Your slideshow runs directly in front of you, just to the left, with notes off to the right. If you have any notes added in, that is, which makes it easy to just concentrate on your presentation. Now, the purple circle items, those are the presenter mode features that I just discussed with you. During PowerPoint Live, you can use those by simply clicking on these buttons. They can be turned off or they can be turned on again from here while the presentation is running. So you can bounce in and bounce out of your presentation. The arrow points to the icon that you would use to disable or enable the ability of your attendees to control the slideshow on their end. So yeah, that's right. One benefit of using this presentation method is that you can allow your attendees to have the ability on their side of the presentation to move back and forth in the slide deck if they need to look back at an earlier slide if they missed something, or to click on, say, a hyperlink that you may have embedded into your slides. Now, there's an option to disable this feature there. That's that eyeball that you see. It's the icon that looks like an eye at the top of the presenter's sharing window. Allows you to switch this feature on or off, depending on what you think you need for this particular presentation. In the blue circle, you're going to find a variety of pointer tools available to you during the presentation as well. My personal favorite is on the far left, the laser pointer. And at the bottom right side, you can see your camera view should you need to preview what your attendees will be seeing if you were to enable the presenter mode option. There's no desktop sharing in this scenario at all, so you don't have to have any concerns about email notifications popping up or other notifications maybe popping up on your screen during your presentation. You're just directly sharing the PowerPoint slides, let's say, that you have presented, and that's all that your attendees will see. So I want to talk real quick about webinars. Let's talk about what it is, a meeting versus a webinar. Now, ordinary meetings generally include a lot of back and forth among the participants, discussions, sharing, assigning and accepting tasks, making plans, maybe even coming to a consensus. Now, webinars, on the other hand, are more controlled, and the participants have clear roles. You might have one or several experts who are the presenters who share their ideas or provide training to an audience, the attendees. If your presentation needs to be more of the latter, then maybe a webinar is the best option for you. It was for us, which is why we used the Teams webinar feature to create this webinar. Now, for time constraint reasons, I'm not going to go through all the steps of configuring a webinar in Teams today. There's a lot of steps involved, and even though most are pretty self-explanatory, as you go through them, it does take some time to set one up properly. Maybe that'll be the subject of its own standalone webinar in the future. That'll be very meta, a webinar about how to make webinars. But I did want to make you aware that it is possible for you to do this in Teams at no extra cost to you. It's already built in. Plus, when you set up a webinar, you're asking attendees to register like we did you for this webinar. Rather than sending them invitations, the webinar setup is very customizable as well, so you can determine what you need to know from your attendees ahead of time. This also allows you to better gauge interest in your webinar, maybe even to collect some data that you can analyze after the webinar completes, which can also come in handy if you want or need to gather that kind of information from your attendees. Now, the last meeting room tool that I want to review is Breakout Rooms. This feature allows you to break your meeting out into smaller meetings where teams can work together on different topics and then bring everyone back together into the main room to review. Now, for the demo on this topic, I'm going to have to cheat a little because it was so complex to set up a proper demonstration of this that I didn't want to just show you an example with just 2 or 3 people. Microsoft already has a perfect demo video that's already set up and ready to use. So I'm going to show you that instead of a custom video that I made myself. It will definitely give you the lowdown on every aspect of the breakout room faster than I could have. So let's watch.
I'll be showing breakout rooms in Microsoft Teams meetings. So I have a meeting here and I'm going to click it and I'll click join. So I'm going to join a meeting and we're going to break people into rooms and we'll show exactly how this all works. So let's click join. Hey folks, so to get started, what I'm going to do is on the top of my meeting, there's this little breakout rooms icon and I'm going to click this. The first thing it's going to ask me is how many breakout rooms do you want to create? Now I'll just be creating 4 today and I'll drop this down and choose 4, but you can create up to 50 breakout rooms. So you've got a lot of flexibility. The other option here is participants, and would you like to automatically assign them, which I'll be doing here, and it says assign 15 people into 4 rooms, or you can choose to manually add participants into each breakout room. But I'll be choosing automatically, and I'll say create room. Now in the right-hand pane, you can see it's created 4 different rooms, and it has 4 people, 4 people, 4 people, and 3. The number of people is indicated with that little parentheses there. Now I could choose to add additional rooms here, which I'm not going to do, but I can also rename the rooms. So in this case, I'm going to choose the ... menu and choose to rename this room, and we'll give them colors. So this is the blue room, and we'll just speed ahead and rename the other rooms colors. What I can do next is I can actually choose to move people around. So you can see as I open up each room, you can see these people are assigned automatically to the rooms. And I haven't started the rooms yet. So let's say I have Mr. Adam Short Shorts here. He's in the blue room, but you know what? I think he's on Team Flipgrid. He should be in the green room, right, Adam? So let's assign, and I'm going to move Adam over to the green room. So now down here you can see that Adam is in the green room. So it's really easy to move people around if they're not in the room that gets automatically assigned. Let's go into room settings. So go to the ... and click room settings, and by default everyone gets automatically moved into open rooms, but I can uncheck that if I want to do it manually, but we'll leave it checked. Also, you can recreate the rooms. What does that mean? That means I can blast away all the current rooms and it will let me recreate like 5 or 10 more rooms. I'm not going to do that right here, but if you need to restart and blast them away, that's where you do it. And now we are ready to start our rooms. So I'm going to click the Start Rooms button right here. And on the attendee side, what's going to happen is they're going to get pulled into the breakout room that I've set up. So they'll get pulled out of this main meeting and they will get pulled into their breakout room meetings. And then we'll show what it looks like to be inside on the attendee side. So let's click Start Rooms and get ready to say goodbye to everyone. They're going to get moved into their rooms. Bye. Now, what if somebody joins the meeting late? Like here's an example right here.
Oh my gosh, Mike, I'm totally late. Where do I go?
Oh, don't worry, Ann. I will be able to assign you to a room. You know, I think you would be perfect in the green room with Team Flipgrid. So I'm going to assign Ann right here. So Ann Cosma. I'm going to select her name and choose Assign. And it asks which room. I'm going to put you in the green room. Bye-bye, Ann. One thing I can do is send a message to everyone that I want to communicate. So I can make an announcement across all the breakout rooms. Hey folks, start brainstorming on your whiteboard, and I'll send this and everyone will get this message in their chat. Now note in the upper right there's a new announcement, a new message. Now Stephen's going to open the chat panel, and this is a message sent by the organizer, who is me in this case. So that comes right through and everyone can get a sense of what the announcements are. Now I'm going to leave this meeting and go show how the organizer can officially join into another breakout room. I'm going to go visit the green room and see how they're doing in there. I click the ... and I'll click Join Room. That is a beautiful looking whiteboard. I'm joining the green room. This is where the party is. Woo! Great. So I'm going to go and leave now and make a message post to tell everyone to come back into the main room. I'll see y'all later. And then to just go back into my main meeting, I click Resume. Now the breakout rooms have had plenty of time to be working on their brainstorming. I'm going to send a message that I'll be closing the breakout rooms in just a minute. So we go to the ... again, choose Make an Announcement. I'll be closing the breakout rooms in 1 minute, so I'll send this out. We've sent an announcement to all of the rooms. Okay, now to close the rooms out and bring everyone back into this meeting, I'm going to click Close Rooms. So it'll bring everyone back. Now I've switched to one of the breakout rooms to show what they experienced. There's a message that appears that says this room will close in 10 seconds and you'll automatically be moved back into the main meeting. Hey everyone, welcome back from the breakout rooms. Looks like lots of great brainstorming and collaboration was happening in there.
There we go. Now, the last thing I want to leave you with today is my promise to show you how to set up Teams to let you be connected to multiple tenants at one time. This is a trick I use to allow me to be logged into the Teams app all the time with my Optistar account, but still be able to access other tenants that I happen to belong to, such as my college Teams tenant. For my example, I'll be using Microsoft Edge, which is the easiest way I believe to do this. But if you prefer to do this with Google Chrome, it can be done that way as well, but there are a few more clicks involved. Not many, but a few. I'm just going to show you the Edge example today, so let's get to it. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is open Microsoft Edge and then go to My Apps, myapps.microsoft.com page, and log in with the credentials for your alternate tenant, not the same tenant that you already use on the desktop application. This is a critical point. You got to use the alternate login. Now, I've already done this on my screen here, so we're going to proceed with opening the Teams web app, which should appear on the My Apps page down here. You would simply click on that to open it. Now, granted, the web app will have some limitations compared to the desktop version, but those limitations are disappearing more and more each day as the web app improves. So without a doubt, though, you'll be able to do the basic Teams actions like reading and creating new chat or channel messages. You can even join meetings through the web app, but you'll need to keep in mind that you will have to grant it access to your microphone and camera to let it do so. So obviously, you can't have a meeting going in both the desktop app and the web app at the same time because they will battle over those resources. So let's begin by clicking this three-dot menu up in the top right corner, right underneath the X in Microsoft Edge. And we're going to scroll down here to Apps. And when you select Apps, you're going to move over here where your next option is to install this site as an app. When you do this, it's going to pop up a little window showing you an icon that's going to be assigned to it. You can click this edit button and select any picture, any icon you may have on your computer. If you have a custom icon you prefer, I'm going to stick with the default icon. And here you can change the name to make it something more meaningful to you. In my case, since this is my test subject Stanley's Teams, I'm going to put Microsoft Teams Stanley. All that's left to do at this point is click Install. Now, here you will be prompted with options for how you want to set up your app. You can see it's already opened it up as a separate window, and now it's telling me, do I want to allow this app to be pinned to my taskbar? Yes. Pinned to start? Sure. Do I want to create a desktop shortcut? If you want to, just check the box. And do I want it to auto start on device login? No, I do not. But if you want to, sure. So I'm going to click Allow, and when I do so, it's going to create the app as a shortcut all those places that I told it to do so. So in the future, when I want to get into this Teams, all I will have to do is locate that shortcut, which I had pinned cleverly to my menu at the bottom, and just click on it, and it will instantly open up as a separate window as an application running Teams. Now, granted, again, it's the Teams web version, but I still have full access to just about everything I need to do in Teams, and I still have my local desktop version of Teams running to allow me to stay into my main tenant. This is simply to give me quick access to an alternative tenant. Personally, I leave this open all day so that I can manage both. And I hope that this helps you to find a way to be able to open multiple tenants within Teams. All right, so that's all we have for you in this particular webinar, but keep an eye on your email. We will be back again each month with another exciting webinar filled to the brim with useful information. I'm not usually I usually try to take questions, but I'm not going to be able to take questions during this one. But as always, you can send in any questions you might have or any requests you might have to ask@optistartech.com. That's it. Thanks everybody for your time, and everybody stay safe.